It's not the members' mistakes. It's my mistake,
And you corrected it for
I
them.
have to correct it.
Lovely.
You cannot survive without not giving out to restaurants or, say, for example, other businesses like other businesses, I mean, banquets or restaurants or whatsoever.
Term SBR was coined out. I think it was your brainchild that gave the name SBR. And tell us about that story. Now it's known as SBR rather than Sindhu Bhavan Road.
Which I little bit regret now that I probably would have learned more about this business in my early days. Under our brand name, it was one of the largest commercial developments that we were doing.
All your projects are theme-based. There is something or the other which is out of the box being created there. Time for another TREC Conversations, and today we have with us Mr. Dushyant Goswami of Suvidha Projects. An electrical and electronic engineer who proved himself to be successful administrator adapting the modern methods of management and project conceptualizations as well as its implementation. Competency lies in project feasibility, planning, designing, execution and administration. Dushyant Goswami is a second generation developer, and today we are going to talk to him about his journey and success into real estate world. Dushyant bhai, thank you very much for coming to our office and being part of the TREC conversation.
My pleasure, absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming over. Dushyant bhai, to start the question, you are a second generation real estate developer. Tell us how you came into this industry and what were you doing before being part of the real estate industry?
So by education, I'm an electrical and electronic engineer, and my father always told me that, we are already developers and I know a lot about this business. You rather study something else, so that if you really want to diversify yourself into something else later on, you can probably have that option if you don't like real estate.
Right.
That's how I did my education into a different field and not civil engineering, which I little bit regret now that I probably would have learned more about this business in my early days. But nevertheless, learning on the ground is much more feasible and much more better is what I have believed than the books and the education.
Absolutely.
And before entering the business, I remember in my last semester of engineering, I started going to the office. I started learning a few things about the business and the real estate business, but predominantly our work has always been a land business.
Okay.
So my father, 95% of his work has always been land business, and 5% was developing spaces, as and when he wanted to do. Okay. So he was not much into development, but always into land business till now.
Right.
And as we all know that the biggest amount of money actually lies in the land business, but there's absolutely no activity to do that. And you could probably just crack one deal a year and probably have plenty amount of money.
Correct.
But that is not what I really wanted to do.
There is no job satisfaction per se.
There is absolutely no job satisfaction. There is nothing creative in that thing.
Correct.
And me being myself, I think I started understanding that I really want to create and be very creative in whatever field I am. Hence, I started developing spaces. And before that also, actually, because we didn't have any projects that time. Right. It was all the land business. So I remember a good friend of mine was a property consultant. And I actually used to go with him to people's office, sell products, sell real estate, to actually learn and to actually earn some good amount of money for myself, because I didn't want to take money from my dad. So the money thing did not really happen, but I learned a lot from him also, and learned a lot from other people also while we were trying to sell or pitch projects. So I think I've done different things before actually coming into the business and started doing something on myself.
So you're one developer who's tasted our side of the real estate story.
And I think I did that for a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. That's quite something.
Yeah.
Dushyant bhai, at a very young age, તમે અત્યારે બહુ જ young છો, અને આટલી young એજમાં you have really made a mark for yourself in the industry already with Suvidha as a name and Dushyant Goswami as a name in the industry. How did you manage to do that in such a short amount of time?
I think that while I started this business and while I was entering this business, my parents have been very firm on one thing and telling me that whatever you do, always be loyal and honest to yourself and to your investors and to people whom you're selling your product to.
Lovely.
And give your 1000% to every single thing that you're doing. Don't go after the quantity, always go for the quality. My mother's always taught me this thing while I was studying or whenever it was.
Right.
That don't start doing 100 things at a time, and don't be competitive like other people. Don't see other people and get into that competition. Just focus on yourself. Try to do as much as good that you can for your investors and be transparent and loyal for them. I think that thing has remained in my mind since then, and that is what I've been doing since years. I'm just trying to challenge myself and just trying to improve myself with every project that I'm doing.
Absolutely. So you inculcated a lot of wisdom from your generation above into your systems and processes.
That's what we should
awesome.
be doing.
That's awesome. Talking about the quality and so on, tell us something about one of the projects that is the most near and dear to your heart, the one that is the most favorite to you.
So still, Stellar remains one of my favorite projects till date, and for certain reason and many reasons actually. Because when we started Stellar, that was under our brand name. It was one of the largest commercial developments that we were doing,
and one of the first ones on Sindhu Bhavan Road.
Probably not one of the first ones. There were already two other developments that had happened. But you can say initially one of the largest developments of Sindhu Bhavan Road.
Right.
And that time, having some international architect and then, one of the most renowned architects, Sanjay Puri, on board, it was very difficult for me to actually know that if I will be able to construct and develop something that is actually conceptualized. But I think gradually, there was just one thing which I was very firm on, that I really want to create this. And with any means or whatever it is, I will develop this, and I want this project to be shown to people how it has been shown to me for my architect. So that vision, I really wanted to give it up to the people also and give them something which is completely wacky and completely different that people have not seen in Ahmedabad.
And absolutely, I agree. That project right now has made its mark on the road. I think it's one of the most iconic building, most known building. The rentals, even the spaces in Stellar Command is probably one of the highest on that road.
Absolutely.
Tell us what makes Stellar stellar. I'm sure there are certain things about it that is different than other projects. What are those?
When I started this project, when we were on the design phase, I had 54 retail showrooms. And now you know that Sindhu Bhavan Road, while the other projects that had started, and Ahmedabad High Street, you cannot survive without not giving out to restaurants or, say, for example, other businesses like banquets or restaurants or whatsoever. Yeah. I was actually very open to actually giving out to them also, because I also was learning that time. And I was actually learning from all the property consultants like you as to what I should be doing, how I'm going to fill up this space. Because I've already sold it to the investors. So it's my responsibility to get them a better rentals and better brands. One fine day, I don't know why, I just woke up in the morning and I just spoke to my dad and told him that, Dad, I don't think so that I'll be able to lease it out to any restaurants or banquets or spa or whatsoever. He said me that, you can take your own phone. Absolutely, whatever you feel fine. I started speaking to my investors and to all the property consultants who had actually worked with us. And they said that, Dushyant bhai, your building is absolutely going to fail, because it's impossible to not give it out to the restaurants and banquets or spa and still fill up 54 showrooms, because predominantly every building that you see on those road or any road has restaurants or banquets. Because
restaurants is a huge target market, especially on Sindhu Bhavan Road.
It's a huge target, Yeah. But I was probably very firm, and I told them that, if I fail, I'll learn from it, But I really want to do this, and I really want this patch, because I'm spending so much amount of money and I have such a beautiful facade. I don't really want to take that risk of probably shelling out to restaurants, because I really want to maintain my building that way. And I started gradually speaking to a lot of retailers. I went to Bombay, I went to Delhi, speaking to a lot of retailers. A lot of people told me yes, a lot of people told me no. But gradually, when we started leasing out, I think we did the right mark by only leasing out 85 or the 90% of the brands that we created was all women-oriented brands. And that was the first ideation I wanted to create. Because women are the one who are the biggest shoppers, men are very quick shoppers. And ultimately, I think everything fell into place. And after one after another, I think we had a lot of retailers coming to us because we were not giving out to the other people, like restaurants.
But I think there's two major takeaways from what you just said. That you took a bold call of not giving it out to such a huge target market. That generally speaking, projects have to rely upon to manage their cash flow. And B, your family let you take that bold call and that I'm sure it comes at a cost. It's not a very easy call to take.
Absolutely. My father has been very liberal to me since I entered this business. He's made me do my mistakes. He's never told me that you should not be doing this and you should be doing this. He's totally told me that everything is your call. Tomorrow you are reliable and probably you will be answered for whatever you are doing and for your actions. Hence, I've probably started learning a lot from my own self and from the people around me than him,
Right.
because he's my backbone. I know if anything goes wrong, I will go back to him. But he's let me take all those calls on myself, and which is very important. It doesn't really happen that a father would let his son or daughter just take all the calls or probably create mistakes or to spend the kind of money
100%.
that you want to spend on a project. He's never asked me anything.
Correct. Yeah, it's very rare to see. One thing that I like about your project, Stellar, and probably all your projects is how well you plan and execute the basements as well. What is the thought process? Like, your basements stand out. They're different from the other ones, other projects. What makes it so different? What is that energy that goes behind it?
I'll just ask you a simple question, Anand bhai. Say, for example, tomorrow you happen to buy a very nice swanky car or a sports car. Would you be driving it, or you would have a chauffeur drive it?
Me, most likely.
Absolutely. You would want to take your car to your office, right?
Correct.
If you take your car to the office, you're going to be parking yourself, right? And you're going to be entering the basement yourself. When you enter the basement, your first mood starts creating from that point in time. Now just imagine if you enter with a swanky car or a sports car entering to a basement which has no lights, which is very dull, which is stinking, and which is not well lit.
Right.
You're probably not going to enjoy taking your sports car or your any swanky car to that basement.
Right.
That is the first thing that came to my mind. If I want to take my car to the basement, I want my basements to be a focal point of my every building. So my first design aesthetics while planning a project, it starts from my designing of the basement, then goes to every single thing. I love creating basements and designing basements and to design very well lit basements, so that people can have those half an hour conversations also in our building basements.
Wow.
Which is what I wanted to create. And probably a lot of people have seen the basements, and we made a lot of mistakes from Stellar as to what I could not create and not design is what we could actually then start creating and probably start upgrading ourselves at Interstellar.
Right.
And we're doing the same with Stellar too at Maninagar, We're creating the same kind of basements in east of Ahmedabad, because that is one thing that I'm not just gonna leave untidy and not.
And as you said, that's the first touch point. I think the visitors or the members of the building approach to.
Absolutely.
And I guess that's the most underrated space as well for any building.
It's very untouched.
Yeah.
It's very untouched.
Correct.
Because I mean, a lot of people and a lot of developers just neglected that it's just a basement,
Correct.
But for me, it's the first thing.
Correct.
Like while designing.
Also, with your project, I remember that term SBR was coined out. I think it was your brainchild that gave the name SBR. And tell us about that story. Now it's known as SBR rather than Sindhu Bhavan Road.
So while we were just conceptualizing this project, initially the name of Stellar was the address. And our logos and everything were in place. And that time also the address and below that we had mentioned at SBR. But one fine day, one morning, somebody told me that the address has already been named by some other developer, which is at SG Highway. So we had to shift the name, and I was just looking out for name, and somehow in some paper or some magazine, I just came across this word called Stellar. And I just Googled it, because it was so fascinating. I've never heard this name.
Right.
And I think everything's probably it just came in a full circle that I love the name so much, and we probably changed the name from the address to Stellar. Coming to SBR, so as we all know that New York City is well known as NYC.
Right.
Bandar Complex has been named as BKC, and I really love how they usually create the logos and how they name it, like one at BKC and capital at BKC. I want to create such things for Sindhu Bhavan Road.
Right.
So while we were just conceptualizing and doing our logos for Stellar, I told my design team that I really want this to happen, like Stellar, and at down we just mentioned at SBR. And they were very skeptical, that what is SBR? Or like SBR means Sindhu Bhavan Road. Like you can't do that because it's not BKC or NYC. Or like exactly, we start creating a BKC and NYC. Let people for themselves find out what exactly the SBR is.
Right.
And I remember that our entire marketing campaign and branding campaign and the hoardings was just a sketch by Sanjay Puri architect of Stellar building at SBR. That was the only thing that was mentioned on the hoardings, So we wanted to create that curiosity for people that what exactly is this, And think gradually, after years, after 3 years, 4 years, the entire Ahmedabad, and I think everybody now just calls Sindhu Bhavan Road.
Absolutely, it's caught on really well in the city.
And just caught on really well. I'm very, very happy about that actually.
So nice, so nice. Dushyant, you've also done some amazing plotting projects lately, primarily after all is right around COVID time, and
True.
you've got major success, and there's a huge brand called named Anand B has
Yes.
come out of it, and you started with your friends. Tell us a story about that.
It was a brilliant journey actually. Post-COVID, I think in the month of September or October, because the new Kannavati clubs and the Rajpath club were already into developments,
Correct.
and a lot of plotted development and the farmlands were being sold at that in that vicinity. And we thought that probably we also want to create something of that and probably have our investors invest into farmlands here so that they can grow their own money. And we went to one of the developers who had a huge chunk of land there. And while doing that, me and one of my partner at Anand, we were also not very familiar with each other, but we just wanted to create something.
Right.
Hence, we went to him and we told him that we want to purchase this piece of land.
Right.
And when the entire deal and everything was done, we told him that if your son would also actually like to be a part of it, it'd be great because we all are very young and we're trying to create another brand out of ourselves. That's how Anand actually started with like 4 or 5 people of us, and there was no absolutely sight of we doing different projects after doing Anand, the first project near the new Kannavati club. But I think since past 3.5, 4 years now, we have at least like 6 to 7 or 8 developments under the Anand itself, under the brand.
Which
Anand
is
Bagh
phenomenal
itself.
because that on its own that has become a brand now.
Yeah, and I think we're enjoying the entire mix of it because,
Right.
like-minded people coming together, everybody has their own fortes, everybody from a similar background, and it's more of enjoyment,
Right.
and more than the money or anything. We love doing what we are doing, so it's more fun actually.
And it also reflects in your projects, I must say, is because all your projects are theme based.
Yes.
There is something or the other which is out of the box being
True.
created there, and it is top notch. People also agree. Like all the clients that
True.
we have brought to Anand Bagh series,
True.
they're very happy and mighty proud of what you've done
True.
and their own decisions as well.
Just one thing that we focus on to is that we really want to only do things what people are looking for.
Right.
And any project, if that is under Suvidha or under Anand brand, I always think that if I have to stay or if I have to invest in my own project, what would I need and what is the kind of quality I would need?
Makes sense.
That is how we develop our projects. So there's absolutely no looking back on the quality or anything,
Right.
I mean, we would spend n number of money whatsoever given point of time if we are developing the space,
Right.
We'd shell out from our profits or whatever it is.
Right.
But we can't let the quality just go for it all.
Super, super. Dushyant bhai, clearly a lot of things have gone right your way. You've made great decisions in life. You've come a long way in a short amount of time. I'm sure you would have in this journey made some mistakes as well, somewhere or the other. Any mistakes that you would say that, okay, this mistake was a mistake, but in the hindsight, it turned out to be a blessing because I could learn something out of it, and then another success came out of it or something
I
like that. You would
remember,
like to share?
when I entered my firm with my father, the first project that I took over and which I developed single-handedly was again a plotted development project, and which was again spread across 1.5 lakh square yard,
Okay,
and which is called 64 Park Avenue, and which is near the Mota Chiroda Circle.
okay.
And then in 2011 or 12, I mean, it used to actually feel far going there, and doing everything on my own because my father told me that you can probably take your own calls,
Right.
And I told him that let me develop this entire project, by myself. And I've made n number of mistakes that time with the contractors, with the landscape designers, from my clubhouse design to my palettes, to my interiors. I think I have done a lot of mistakes, which actually has made me learn so much now that now that I'm doing a lot of other plotted development, I remember all of those things that were mistakes and what mistakes I did. I never try to repeat those mistakes in
Right.
any of my other projects. So I think I made a lot of mistakes, but I single-handedly actually completed. I did the sales, I did the marketing, I did the development, the financial, everything was handled by me only because I really wanted to taste every single thing from that project.
Side of the business.
That what happens in this business,
Correct. Correct.
So yeah, a lot of mistakes. I mean, my entire landscaping actually went for
Right.
a toss. My entire electrifications went for a toss. My plumbing went for a toss, which actually the entire project, the entire landscaping, plumbing and electric, again 3 years back, I redid the entire thing from my own expense, not from society's expense.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I was like, this is my mistake. I will probably redo
bite the
entire
bullet.
thing, Yes, from color to every single thing. I probably did the entire project myself again.
Wow, that's quite a cost. But
Yeah.
then,
It's
then
a
it
cost,
paid
but
off.
then that's
But
my
then
mistake.
now in the
But
hindsight,
it's my mistake.
Yeah.
It's not the members' mistakes. It's my mistake,
and you corrected it
Yeah,
for them.
I have to correct it.
Lovely. Dushyant bhai, you have your wife with you in the
Yeah.
business. Prachi Ben is a very strong hand for you at Suvidha Projects. Tell us about what her role is and how she adds value to Suvidha Projects.
So by education, she is a textile designer. She is a NIFT Gandhinagar graduate.
Okay.
But she's always had a nick for creativity and graphics, and because she's learned that and they've studied that. So she has her own brand which is called Indian Summer Creatives, where she actually caters to people who are wanting an entire niche stationery
Okay.
or any gifting purpose,
Right.
but which is not very, I would say for example, if you moved into your apartment and now you say that you want your envelopes to your boxes, to every single thing, or say for example any bags or whatever it is, to be created as per your home interiors for you and your wife with your own tags and with your own wax seals and everything. So she creates and she curates all of that.
Even for
And
that small quantity that we
she would do
need.
anything,
Okay.
absolutely.
Oh, nice.
Because then she also is not working for money, but she loves doing what she does.
Right.
And she does everything by herself.
Right.
She creates wax seals and everything by herself.
Wow.
So she being so creative, she joined me obviously in the office, and obviously being a graphic designer, I told her that you have to help me out with my own branding, with Suvidha's branding, with the social media branding. So she looks after the entire social media branding with logo designs. So all the Anandabad projects from Anandabad till Creek, all the logos and everything has been designed by her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So she's your in-house
Yeah, she's
marketing
our in-house
agency.
designer, yes.
Yeah, nice, lovely. And I have received some of the gifts that's been
Yes,
curated by her,
yes,
and I
yes.
must say they are
Yeah.
phenomenal. They are
Yeah.
like they really stand out well. All right, thank you very much, Dushyant.
Thank you
This
so
was a
much.
real fun conversation to have
Pleasure.
with you, and thank you very much for coming to the office. And here's a little gesture from our side. Thank
so
you
much,
very
Anand.
much.
Thank
Hope
you
you
so
enjoy
much.
it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us. For more such conversations, keep following us on our social media pages. The handles are The Real Estate Connect, TREC, both on Facebook and Instagram.